influential leaders of India.
CRajagopalachari, widely known as Rajaji, donned many hats: lawyer, politician, literary giant, historian, and principal dissenter. Rajagopalachari was one of the makers of New India, a sincere patriot, a man whose penetrating intellect and moral sense added depth to national affairs. His analysis, his anticipation, his administrative acumen, and his courage to steer an unpopular course if he felt the need, marked him as a statesman and made an impact on national history at several crucial junctures. He has held the highest positions and lent distinction to every office. He was the first recipient of India's highest civilian award, the Bharat Ratna. Here's a look back at his life. Rajagopalachari was born on 10th December 1878 in Thorappalli village, Madras Presidency. As the third son of Chakravarti Venkatrayan, the village Munsif, and Chakravarti Singaramma, he first attended the village school, but at the age of 5, he enrolled at R.V. school at Hosur. In 1891, he passed his matriculation exam and in 1894 obtained his Bachelor of Arts degree from Central College, Bangalore. Thereafter, he enrolled at the Presidency College, Madras to study law and passed out in 1897. The same year, he married Alamelu Mangalamma. The couple had 3 sons, Narasimhan, Krishnaswamy and Ramaswamy, and 2 daughters, Lakshmi and Namagiri Amma. In 1900, Rajagopalachari started practicing law in Salem, and the next year he became a member of the Salem municipality. In 1916, he formed the Tamil Scientific Terms Society, an organization that coined new words in Tamil for terms connected to botany, chemistry, physics, astronomy, and mathematics. At about the same time, he called for Tamil to be introduced as the medium of instruction in schools. He became the chairperson of the municipality of Salem in 1917 and served there for 2 years. He joined the Indian National Congress and acted as a legal advisor. Rajagopalachari defended Indian independence activist P. Varadarajalu Naidu against charges of sedition in 1917. It was in 1919 that Rajagopalachari met Gandhi for the first time in Madras. He gave up his law practice and became a follower of Mahatma Gandhi and participated in Gandhi's non-cooperation movement. He was also jailed for 2 years in Vellore in 1920. After his release, he opened his own ashram to promote Gandhi's principles of Hindu-Muslim harmony and the abolition of untouchability. He was also a proponent of Khadi. Rajagopalachari actively participated in the agitations against the draconian Rowlatt Act. In 1921, he became the General Secretary of the Congress Party and was elected to its working committee. Following the split of the Indian National Congress in 1923, Rajagopalachari became heavily involved in the Vaikam Satyagraha movement against untouchability and also became a civil disobedience inquiry committee member. When Mahatma Gandhi led the Dandi March in 1930, Rajagopalachari did the same at Vedaranyam near Nagapatnam and broke the salt law along with the activist Sardar Vedaratnam and was arrested by the British. He also became the editor of Mahatma Gandhi's newspaper, Young India. Devdas Gandhi, the youngest son of Mahatma Gandhi, was a prominent journalist serving as the editor of Hindustan Times. Devdas Gandhi fell in love with Lakshmi, the daughter of Rajaji. Given Lakshmi's age at the time, she was only 15, whereas Devdas Gandhi was 28 years old. Both Devdas Gandhi's father and Rajaji asked the couple to wait for 5 years without seeing each other. After 5 years had passed, they were married with their father's permission in 1933. He became the president of the Tamil Nadu Congress Committee and persuaded the Indian National Congress to participate in the general elections in 1937. Following the elections, Congress Party came to power in Madras Presidency and his political career started to shape. He was elected as the first Premier of the Madras Presidency in 1937. During this period, to ease farmer debt, he also introduced the Agricultural Debt Relief Act of 1938. Another fascinating facet of Rajaji's views was his desire for reconciliation at any cost between castes, faiths, and nations. One of the leading proponents for the temple entry of lower castes, joining leading personalities like Periyar, who had divergent political ideologies, Rajaji issued the Temple Entry Authorization and Indemnity Act of 1939, which lifted all restrictions on the entry of Dalit and Shanar community members into Hindu temples. This was a major boost to abolish untouchability and caste prejudice during his stint as Premier of the Madras Presidency. Periyar, who was probably furthest away from Rajaji regarding ideological leanings, but a close friend nonetheless, called him a leader unique and unequaled, who lived and worked for high ideals. Another pioneering quality of Rajaji was his ability to see and understand events long before anyone else could. Often, this foresight would land him in a proverbial soup, but that never deterred him. Following the outbreak of the Second World War and the Viceroy's decision to declare war on Germany without India's consent, the Congress ministers, including Rajagopalachari, resigned en masse in protest. In accordance with the Defence of India rules, in December 1940, Rajagopalachari was arrested for his protest against the declaration of war and sentenced to 1 year in prison. At this point in time, his stance on Britain's war against Germany changed. He also advocated dialogue with the British and opposed the Quit India movement. He favoured talks with both Muhammad Ali Jinnah and the Muslim League and proposed what later became to be known as the CR formula. With India and Pakistan attaining independence, Bengal split into two and Rajagopalachari was appointed as the first governor of West Bengal. Rajagopalachari declared that his priority was to deal fairly and firmly with both Hindus and Muslims so that the state could have peace and stability. When Governor General Lord Mountbatten went on leave to attend the wedding of Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth in London, Rajagopalachari served as the acting Governor General of India. From November 10th to 24th, 1947, Rajaji stayed in the Viceroy's palace but led a very austere life. Mountbatten was very impressed with him and made Rajaji his second choice after Vallabhbhai Patel to succeed him after he departed India in June 1948. With both Nehru and Patel himself disagreeing with Mountbatten's first choice, it was Rajagopalachari who served as the last Governor General of India, the only Indian to ever hold the office. He held the office from June 1948 to 26 January 1950. When India became a republic, Rajaji was elected from Madras to the Constituent Assembly and in 1950 was invited by Nehru to join his cabinet. In the initial days, he had no portfolio, but after Patel's demise on 15th December 1950, he became the Home Minister. Following the 1952 elections in Madras, no party got clear majority, and the then Madras governor, Sri Prakasa, appointed Rajagopalachari as the chief minister. He had sworn in as the chief minister of Madras on April 10, 1952. His policy of introducing Hindi as a compulsory language in schools was highly protested by the people of Madras. Rajagopalachari eventually resigned from the post of chief minister on April 13, 1954. Following this, he started focusing on writing. Rajaji was an accomplished writer both in his mother tongue Tamil and English. He published a book, Siriyal Tavam, Meditation in Jail, which was a day-to-day diary of his first imprisonment. He wrote a Tamil translation of the Ramayana, which was later published as Chakravarti Thirumagan. The Ramayana pervades the country's moral and cultural consciousness. For generations, it has served as a bedtime story for Indian children, while at the same time engaging the interest of philosophers and theologians. The book won the Sahitya Academy Award in Tamil language in the year 1958. Rajagopalachari often regarded his literary works as the best service he had rendered to the people. Rajaji wrote an abridged retelling of the Mahabharata in English, followed by one of the Ramayana. In Mahabharata, he displays his inimitable flair for telling stories and applying their moral to the needs of modern times. The stories were originally written in Tamil and have been rendered into English mainly by Rajaji himself. To have preserved the beauty and spirit of the great original in refined and simple English is an achievement of the highest order. He translated the Tirukkural to English. He also wrote books on the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, Socrates, Marcus Aurelius in English. He was also one of the founders of the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, an organization dedicated to the education of Indian culture. In 1959, the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan published his book, Hinduism, Doctrine and Way of Life. Apart from his literary works, Rajagopalachari also composed a devotional song, Kurai Ondrum Illai, devoted to Lord Venkateshwara, a song set to music and a regular at Carnatic concerts. Rajagopalachari composed a benediction hymn sung by M.S. Subbalakshmi at the United Nations General Assembly in 1967.
குறையொன்றுமில்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா குறையொன்றுமில்லை கண்ணா குறையொன்றும் இல்லை கோவிந்தா குறையொன்றும் இல்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா குறையொன்றும் இல்லை கண்ணா குறையொன்றும் இல்லை கோவிந்தா கண்ணுக்கு தெரியாமல் நிற்கின்றாய் கண்ணா கண்ணுக்கு தெரியாமல் நின்றாலும் எனக்கு குறையொன்றும் இல்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா வேண்டியதை தந்திட வெங்கடேசனில் இருக்க வேண்டியது வேறில்லை மறைமூர்த்தி கண்ணா மணிவண்ணா மலையப்பா கோவிந்தா 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 கோவிந்தா.
On 17th December 1972, Rajagopalachari was admitted to the Government Hospital Madras, suffering from dehydration and a urinary infection. He died on 25th December 1972 at the ripe age of 94. Great people die, but their ideas live long after them. There is a reason why R.G. Casey, the Australian who served as Governor of Bengal, called him the wisest man in India. A few famous quotes and sayings of him prove that. Do not demand love. Begin to love, and you will be loved. We must learn two things. One is to see ourselves as others see us. Secondly, we cannot succeed in anything if we act in fear of other people's opinions. What is wanted to save parliamentary democracy is an opposition that will operate not privately and behind closed doors of the party meeting, but openly and periodically through the electorate. We are imitative by nature. Self-pity is not a very good thing to indulge in. Your life is your work. Our body and here are the temple of God. If we believe that God is everywhere, why should we not believe He is in objects to which so much concentrated devotion is attached? Godlessness leads to false ideas of progress and civilization, exploitation and war. What Rajaji brought to the table was respect, dignity, intellectual rigor and honesty into his principled dissent against political stalwarts and systems of the day. It's virtually impossible to present a biographical account of the man Gandhi called his conscience keeper in this limited space. But the beauty of Rajaji is that his ideas about the economy, faith, foreign relations, and political discourse remain forever.